Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
Found out my wife has been sleeping my best friend. First, a little bit of background. I love this lady. I have spent 6 long years of my life with her, and our lives are deeply intertwined. I only had one other real girlfriend before coming across my future wife. We dated for 3 years, got married, and have been married for about 2.5 years. We have our ups and downs, our fights and romantic nights, just as any long-term couple has. Recently, things have been a little worse, but life is stressful. We had to move back in with her mother due to financial reasons, because it worked for both the mother and us recently. She has been hanging out with a mutual friend of ours quite often. She regularly goes and sees him while I'm unavailable at work. They do seemingly normal things like watch TV, drink, go to the beach, etc. The frequency of these visits has increased exponentially over the last few months, to at least once a week, if not more. My friend had become increasingly distant and unavailable to hang out if I was involved. I was becoming more suspicious with every rendezvous. Last Friday, after an unrelated fight with my drunk wife, I had the overwhelming urge to look at her phone. This isn't normal, and usually I respect her privacy. My suspicions got the best of me, and I decided to look. I pulled up the text message history with the guy. What I found killed me. Detailed, graphic messages, dating back at least 2 months. My stomach sank, I nearly became physically ill. I felt the blood rush from my face and became faint. There were messages referencing his in her mouth, her saying how he makes her insatiable, and in her words, we could, in response to, what could we do? I was stunned. I couldn't process it. It did make sense. My mind was spinning. I felt more emotion in those few minutes than I ever have before. Disgust, betrayal, rage, regret, fear, and life-shattering sadness. How could my precious wife do this to me? Here I am picturing my sweet lady being by this who had been my friend since before I had even met my wife. How could he betray our friendship like that? I can't say I didn't contemplate loading the gun at that point. If not for them, for me. I was destroyed. A sobbing wreck of a man collapsed in bed next to his drunkenly passed out wife. I can't forgive her. I made up my mind right then and there, this is absolutely unforgivable. I have to get out. I have to leave and be on my own. I don't have any money saved up. I don't have my own car. I barely own much of anything at all. I decided not to tell her that I know yet, so I have time to prepare myself for solo living. Thanks to the support of my few friends, I was able to find a place to move in. I have another friend with a car I can buy. I'm getting my ducks in a row to drop a bomb on the whore and get the away. This brings you up to date. As it stands right now, I plan to pack and move all of my things while she's away at work. Tomorrow, I have to pick her up from work at the end of the day. I'll bring her home, she will see all my stuff gone, and the final argument will begin. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say, but with as much as I have to say, it will come easily. So, Reddit, now you know my horrible story. Please offer me your advice, insight, and general helpfulness that you are so well known for. Edit. First and foremost, I love you, Reddit. Seriously. The outpouring of support, advice, and the I know how you feel / same happened to me has helped me tremendously. I never expected this type of response, let alone to hit the front page. From the bottom of my now broken heart, thank you all. Sorry if you sent me a message, I haven't had time to respond to many, but I'm trying to read them all. Next, I hear your advice. 99% of you are saying don't give her that final argument. The more I read, the more I agree with you. You guys are right, it would be nothing but extra unnecessary hurt. The problem here is I'll be using her car to move my all-day Friday. I'm thinking the new plan is a small note, more than just I know, but not a whole book. And I'll leave the car and keys for her at her work. Then I'll get picked up by a friend and ride into the sunset. That way she reads the note, is devastated, and then goes home to find the house empty of my things with me nowhere to be found. Of course, I will lawyer up. I do feel as though my proof is sufficient. I have read divorce laws for my state, Maryland, and I have my bases covered. I do not have assets to split, not much communal property, no kids. For this I am thankful. At least I found out now before we had all of those things to worry about. To those who think we should get back together and I should forgive her, no way. One thing I did mention in my initial post, this happened once before in the past before we got married, and I tried the forgiveness thing once. Never again. Thanks again. Reddit. I'll post follow-up sometime soon when I can. Comments. Why are you going to pick her up from work and drive her home? Why are you going to put yourself in a situation to either hear sobbing apologies or hurtful put-downs when neither is going to make you feel better or change your mind? Just leave. Go. She's a big girl. She can find her own way home to her empty house. Think of her as scab. Scab sits there on top of a wound. If you pick at it, not only will you bleed again, but the scar will be worse. If you ignore it, it will go away, leaving what has been healed. How could my precious wife do this to me? How could he betray our friendship like that? After going through a similar situation, I sought the help of a therapist who told me something that helped me cope. She told me to change my perspective from viewing herself as a victim, e.g., how could she cheat on Meadow thinking of it as she is a cheater and he is a bad friend? I hope that helps you. Please add my name to the cacophony of voices telling you not to have a final conversation. I tried to break up with a girl for years, but she managed to twist everything around and suddenly I was the one apologizing. I was a weak-willed person back then, but the way you described her in the beginning of this shows that you still have a huge soft spot for her in your heart. And why shouldn't you? You still remember the person she was who happens to look exactly like the person she is now. But it's not her anymore. Even if you have a conversation and do stick to your guns, you're going to walk away with some big emotional bruises. She's not going to go quietly into that good night, so don't even give her the chance. Trust me, she will feel validated by you yelling at her. She will wallow in her despair and, oh, how could I ruin something so perfect? And then she'll run back to the guy she's been for comfort. I understand the need for closure. I understand it so well I just capitalized it for you. You want to know what could turn her from who she was into who she is. The sad fact is you're never going to find out because at this stage in the game, she's not going to be saying anything accurate. She's going to be blaming you, twisting your words, and justifying her own behavior. Maybe, years later, she'll confess something if you happen to stay in touch, but don't expect it. So yes, you'd have to live with the burden of not knowing why it ended. But she'll have to live with the far, far greater burden of knowing she ruined something without being able to wiggle out of the guilt. That's a worthy trade. If you still insist on doing this, I have a suggestion. Every moment you're talking to her, imagine his penis in her mouth. Seriously, it's been a few days and your mind may be made up, but you're the kind of sweet, soft-hearted guy who hates to hurt the people you love, even after they hurt you first. You need to keep yourself in the moment you found out. Keep that disgust, betrayal, rage, regret, fear, and life-shattering sadness, and use it to negate every ounce of sympathy for her. Good luck. I plan to pack and move all of my things while she's away at work tomorrow. I have to pick her up from work at the end of the day. I'll bring her home, she will see all my stuff gone, and the final argument will begin. Better yet, move her out while she's at work and then don't pick her up from work. Don't answer her phone calls, let her come home on her own, and find you gone along with all your stuff. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of having another argument with you. Please add my name to the cacophony of voices telling you not to have a final conversation. I tried to break up with a girl for years, but she managed to twist everything around and suddenly I was the one apologizing. I was a weak-willed person back then, but the way you described her in the beginning of this shows that you still have a huge soft spot for her in your heart.